Today we're responding to your feedback. You told us you wanted to know more about Pallet Grip. Well, hang on. We'll tell you everything you need to know and more in this episode of Lantech Now. Hi, I'm Allison Myers and welcome to Lantech Now. Today we want to welcome back Curtis Martin, designer and engineer of Pallet Grip. Welcome back, Curtis.
Thank you, Allison.
Well, Curtis, we had an overwhelming response to our podcast on Pallet Grip, and today we kind of want for our viewers to go and delve into some more detail on Pallet Grip so they can really understand what it is to lock your load to the pallet.
Okay.
If you can, please review for us unique points of Pallet Grip.
Sure. Grip is to merely take the bottom edge of the film and strengthen it by rolling it into a cable, and then taking that cable and directing it back down to the lowest point possible so that we can reach the pallet and place that cable and film on the pallet at about 1 inch to 1.5 inches below the top deck board, and then wrapping that across the pallet and the load, tying them together.
So you're rolling up, but you're also driving down.
Correct.
And is that drive down different from our standard roper?
Yes, it is, because on our standard ropers we don't drive down. We merely just gather the film up into a rope.
Well, how is the drive down beneficial, for example, for stretch wrapping?
Well, particularly in a straddle machine, you lose that amount of space with the film when you drive the film up into a cable. And so without being able to drive it back down, you are merely moving the bottom edge of the film up to a higher position and possibly not able to capture the pallet.
So you're not going to be able to capture the pallet,
Absolutely.
for example, on straddle or rotary arm machines.
That's correct.
Unless you have this drive down.
Right.
That's great. So some of our customers want to talk about where to place it, because you talk about location a lot.
Right.
How do you know where to place the web onto your pallet?
Well, ideally, you want to position the cable about 1 inch to 1.5 inches below the top of the pallet, and that will capture it directly below the top runner boards, which is the best place for it. And that leaves the openings for the fork truck to still pass in and to pick up the load without damaging the film.
But I have different size pallets. How do I know if I'm able to place it? For example, what if I have 4-inch pallets or 5-inch? What pallet sizes does Pallet Grip work for? Does it work for all of them?
Basically, any pallet that's standard in the industry can be used. The better pallets would be a taller pallet. The 5-inch pallets are better than your shorter ones because we're able to put more film in the rope, because we can actually bring the cable up a little higher onto the pallet.
But if I have a 4-inch pallet, it's going to work effectively?
It's still very effective. Yes, very much effective, and the only compromise is just a little bit less film in the cable, but it's still adequate to capture the load.
So Curtis, what types of loads is Pallet Grip suitable for?
Well, basically any load that is shipped on a pallet is a candidate for Pallet Grip, because the principle is to keep the load from shifting on the pallet, and so that's what it's designed to do. Basically any type of pallet that you have, any load, light, heavy, depending on the profiles, they all are pretty much suited for the Pallet Grip. They all have the same thing in common. You don't want your load to shift on the pallet.
What if I have inboard or outboard conditions?
Well, you want to minimize that as much as possible, but Pallet Grip is still very effective in minimizing the amount of shift that the load has on the pallet.
Okay. What if I have different types of pallets? For example, I have plastic pallets. Does Pallet Grip work for that?
Yes, it's very effective on plastic pallets as well. We get great results with it.
Okay, so it works on plastic pallets as well as wood pallets.
Absolutely.
That's great. So Curtis, under what circumstances would I not need Pallet Grip?
Well, if you don't have a pallet, then you don't need Pallet Grip.
So no pallet, no Pallet Grip?
That's right.
What about customers that have slip sheets? For example, some customers have slip sheets and they have a 2-inch tab that they fold up and want to capture. Would Pallet Grip work for those customers?
Well, yes, it would work okay, although it's not necessary. conventional wrapping will work just as well as it always has with that type of application. So we can modify the pallet grip with a tooling change that would basically allow it to wrap as a normal stretch wrapper
so
without
you can
pallet
disengage
grip.
the pallet grip.
That's right.
Some of our customers use pop-ups. They lift the load up to be able to capture all the way around the load. What do you think about that?
Well, some people feel like that's the way to effectively lock the load to the pallet. However, load lifts are very expensive devices, and the notion of wrapping the load completely underneath the pallet is the way to go is not necessarily true, because the fork truck driver, when he picks that load up, he has to bust through that film in order to get underneath the load. And so that compromises the containment of the film that is on the load. However, pallet grip works much differently in that it doesn't completely wrap the pallet, but just enough of the pallet to be effective, using that cable and the remaining web, and leaving that the runners open for the fork truck driver to pick up.
Thank you for joining us today, Curtis. Are there any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
Well, Allison, really it's all about getting our loads from point A to point B in as-made condition, and pallet grip is a very effective tool in accomplishing that.
Thank you very much. For more information about stretch wrapping, check out our website at lantech.com.